In order to make things more scientific, I did run my PIV code on this, and I think these arrows are going to be hard to see, but I think you can see the red box. Inside the red box, I ran the PIV code on that region, calculated a number of vectors, a number of independent measurements in that region, and averaged them. And then the piece of the puzzle that's still thorny, that's still difficult to deal with, is what's the relationship between the speed of the structures that you can see and the average speed of the jet. Okay, so this is crude oil exhausting into water. And crude oil is opaque, so you can't see into it. You just see the outside of it. Okay, so I know how fast the outer surface of the jet is moving. Then I need to know a relationship between the speed of the outer surface and how fast the rest of the jet is moving. So that's the piece that's still troubling the flow rate technical group, but we can definitely put a lower bound on it. And that's what I did for this. What I said was, I don't know what the speed is inside the jet, but just from the physics, from the flow physics here, it can't be slower than the speed that you observe the outside of the jet to be moving. And that's a real standard assumption in fluid mechanics. Which means, basically then, if I know the speed of the outside of the jet, then I can, if I assume that's the average speed of the jet, that's a safe assumption to make. It's going to be a conservative assumption. It's going to give me a number that's lower rather than higher than the real value. So once you know that, I happen to calculate that displacement was 10.2 pixels. Once you know that, then it's very simple, and I've put my high-tech math up here. These are the actual pages that I drew up when I was working on this, because I didn't anticipate that this would be any big deal. So this was you can't read this, but this was a pharmaceutical some like big sticky pad, and I was just sketching this up, and I wrote this out, and here's the conversion from pixels to real space, and here's the time between frames, and you multiply the average speed of the jet times the cross-sectional area, just the area of the pipe, and you get the flow rate. So I calculated the flow rate in inches cubed per second, and then I just have to do a units conversion, which is over here somewhere. Yeah, here's the units conversion over here to barrels per day. Here's a few phone numbers of the first media people who called me. So, it was... I thought, my wife said when she saw this, you have to save those pages. Because you think it's, let me show you the version I showed to Congress. Oh wait, hold on. There's the version. It's the exact same content, but it looks nicer. All right, so anyhow, I made this calculation, 70,000 barrels per day. And then I called Richard Harris back, and I said I have a number, and he hooked up his recording machine, and I talked for a couple of minutes, telling him what I did and how I did it, what the results were, and then that was on Talk of the Nation on May 13th. So the same day that I did the calculations, 2 hours I spent on this. And when I got that number, 70,000, I thought, that seems kind of high compared to what I've been hearing, but I hadn't been following it very closely. So I went to Google and looked 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 70,000. That's a really big number. And so I went back 2 or 3 times, double-checked everything, and there are some steps where you could go wrong, let's say get the time between frames wrong or something. So made sure everything was right. I called Richard back and I said, here are my numbers, did the interview. And before it aired, then I sent an email to my wife, which is here. So Christina Bross, she's back there. She's assiduously ducked the spotlight. Anyhow, I wrote this email to her, and I'll just read you a little bit of it because I think it illustrates how naive I am. So I say, Richard Harris from NPR's Talk of the Nation called today and asked if I'd take a look at some video just released from the blown-out oil rig in the Gulf. I spent about 2 hours making a calculation and figured that 80,000 barrels a day, I've had to adjust that actually, it's actually 70, Richard told me the wrong number. 70,000 barrels a day is flowing into the Gulf, not 5,000. He just interviewed me for Talk of the Nation. I'm not sure when they'll air this, but I'll ask him if I don't hear anything from him by tomorrow. All right. So that aired at 5:10 on that Thursday. And by 7 o'clock, Anderson Cooper was on the phone. And I definitely could not have anticipated that. So Anderson Cooper was on the phone. So I was hoping to get a little mention in an NPR story. Here's what happened. And some of you may have seen me on various shows. The NPR media people drew this up. They keep track of when Purdue people appear in the media. And Phil calculated 800 major media placements, and this just shows you some of the icons of the places that carried the story. Just blew up like I never could have expected. And my wife said, after I sent her that email, she said, "You did what? That is going to blow up." That is, so. But even she didn't anticipate this much. I mean, it's been a major change in my life. All right, so anyhow, that's the story of my involvement. We talked about this. So I wanted to show you how this agreed with others. So other people who looked at the video, Eugene Chang, Tim Crone at Columbia, they both said 20 to 100,000 barrels a day. And my range was 56 to 84,000 barrels a day. So you see, those ranges overlap. Overlap enough that I'm comfortable with it. The range that they don't overlap is right here, 5,000 barrels a day. I don't know where BP got that number. This guy, Ian McDonald, he's at Florida State, and he does the same kind of surface imaging that BP did to get the 5,000, and he said it's at least 25,000 barrels a day. So I can't comment on BP's motives, but their number was definitely wrong, demonstrably wrong. So far at this point, this is something like May 14th, May 15th, is demonstrably wrong by these independent scientists. And now the government's starting to look bad because, I mean, basically, as far as this problem goes, I'm a citizen. It's not in my purview to keep track of the government. And, well, it's not my job. I'm not on government oversight or something like that. Yeah, okay, we were going to get to that point, but anyhow, so, BP's, definitely wrong here. All right, so we'll move on from there. Well, actually, this is important. So how can these results be improved? And the thing that the most important thing is better quality video and longer video. So more and longer videos. And basically, BP released that 30-second snippet of poor quality video. But it's standard operating procedure to have the ROV cameras on from the moment the boat goes in the water until the moment you take it out. And in case anything goes wrong, let's say the tether breaks or something, you can see what it was last looking at and go to find it. So they have all of these videos from April 20th till now in a high resolution form. They're all there, and when this case goes to court, it's all going to be discoverable, and we'll basically be able to do a flow rate calculation from day one to whenever the end of this thing is, hopefully in August. All right, so anyhow,